Hey guys, King of Charmander here. Today I'll be your judge, your jury, and your analyst. And today I bring to you my top 5 teams for the Open Ultra League Season 8 Part 2. So Open Ultra League is coming back. Sadly, Ultra Premier Cup isn't with it. However, if you do have a bunch of XLs for Ultra League Remix, Open Ultra League is your best friend. I never thought I would say that for a video, but yes, best friends forever. Well, no, technically it is best friends forever because Open Ultra League has been out since the preseason, and it's literally you were forced to play Open Ultra League at one point in your Go Battle League career if you've been playing since the preseason like I have. Open Ultra League really isn't that bad though. I can tell you, legend has it that in Season 6 and Season 7, King of Charmanders made legend in Open Ultra League, so Open Ultra League really isn't that bad, guys. I would totally do it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, of all flavors and colors, it's really not that bad. I implore you, if you really want to make legend and you're struggling, Open Ultra League might be your jam. Like, you know, like, I don't know what flavor jam. You guys, I really like grape jam. Like, I'm just saying, like, grape jam's really good. Like, you know, PBG, when you have peanut butter and jellies, usually it's grape jelly. I'm just saying, if you use strawberry, we can't be friends. I'm just kidding. Anyways, as you see here, please consider contributing to ppoke.com, and this is my top 5 teams for Open Ultra League Part 2. Now, it hasn't really changed a lot. A lot of the teams I'm going to give you are just basically a lot of different looks, but teams I've tested and used before that really do work or have statistically worked before. Anyways, without further ado, let's get started. Alright, first up we got Machamp League, Cresselia, Saswitch, and Umbreon to close out. Machamp League is incredibly powerful for Open Ultra League. Rock Slide does allow you to 2-shield. In the 2-shield with Rock Slide, you beat Articuno as well as Talonflame straight Rock Slide. So that's why Machamp with Rock Slide is so powerful. Cresselia is the most powerful Saswitch since literally the dawn of the beginning of time. And Umbreon XL is one of the tankiest mons in the game. This team I've used before. I've actually gotten several 5-0s with it. It's really good statistically, and as you see here, amazing in every regard except for coverage. This team banks that you will do. If you see something that you're weak against, there are some things that core break this team. You're basically going to beat the unholy heck out of them with just sheer damage. As you see here, Machamp is an incredibly powerful lead, being able to destroy a lot of things in Open Ultra League, minus the big Ghost Dragon in Giratina, and of course the Flying Distance Duck in Cresselia. If you're losing lead with Machamps, just say switch it to Cresselia and then close out with Umbreon. Try to win back switch or get the debuff. Hopefully the Moonblast debuff with Cresselia can help you out. However, despite the fact that literally, we're in Season 8. Yep, I almost forgot what season we're in. In Season 8, this team is incredibly powerful. With Pidgeot still being banned, you don't really have to worry about it interrupting you too much. Pidgeot does give this team a really rough time, but as you see here, there's not a lot of teams with like Stun Tank XL or Superior XL, etc. Basically, grass types are a worst nightmare, but with Machamp, what you could choose to do is in the 2-shield, it has a really good matchup against a lot of grass types in the 2s, minus the fact that you get debuffed by like a Leaf Tornado or if you see a Flyer in the lead. But as you see, this team is incredibly strong. The only thing is what's really dangerous about this team is basically charm leads. What happens is that when you say switch into Cresselia, if they have the charm in the back, you basically lose. That's the thing. Umbreon doesn't do particularly well against Clefable because of the way fast moves are working right now. Charms coming through can be disastrous, and unfortunately that does happen a lot. I still recommend this team though. Like I said, as long as the game works as intended, you should be perfectly fine, but Charmers give you a really rough time with this team. There are other teams on this list, but like I said, Charmers are not your best friend. You will want to kill all Charmers in all sight after you face them with this team. Next up, we got Sirfetch'd, Gengar, Saswitch, and Registeel. Registeel XL is incredibly powerful in Open Ultra League, and this team was very unique. It's one of the top teams. I wanted to put Sirfetch'd in here because Sirfetch'd is really a great mon. You can choose to burb, or like you see here, it's close combat. So Leaf Blade is incredibly powerful. Leaf Blade will allow you to destroy Swampert, and Sirfetch'd just has great coverage in general. It's like a Machamp, but with different moves. Gengar is incredibly strong in this meta. It wasn't part of the top teams, and with Gengar Saswitch, it can do a lot of damage. Registeel does very well. Well, Registeel getting the Focus Blast damage back makes it the #1, makes it a #1 top Metamon for Open Ultra League. It's really freaking good, okay? Now, this team is incredibly strong. B for coverage, C for bulk and safety, and B for consistency. The thing about Surfetch and what kind of gives it a rough time if you do want to use Surfetch is that it doesn't have the potential Machamp has to run through Talonflame as well as Articuno. You're going to have to safe switch if you see a flyer with Surfetch 90% of the time. However, Surfetch does really well against a lot of combinations. As you see here, it does a lot of damage against things like Swampert. Basically, Swampert leads cry when they see Surfetch. Surfetch also, you have the option of using Brave Bird if you want to. This team uses close combat, but like I said, Bird can also work as well. This team overall is incredibly powerful, only being weak to basically Meganium, Victini, Landorus, and Giratina Altered. Giratina Altered is one of the biggest issues with this team. Gira A is very popular. However, if you say switch into Gengar, Registeel, and Gira A, you could take it out with either one as long as you're able to land a Shadow Ball, or if you're able to, hopefully you have a strong matchup with your back row with Gengar and Registeel. Other than that, this team is very strong. Kind of low threat score, surprisingly. 633 isn't a super high threat score. And what you're weak to is basically, your biggest weakness is basically Giratina Altered. But this team was ranked very high, and Surfetch is very powerful. So if you want to use Surfetch, it's really up to you. But I like this team. I wanted to give different looks for fighters other than Machamp, and Surfetch is a viable fighter for this team. Like I said, this was a top team statistically, so it still works very well. Alright, now back to the Machamp and Umbreon core. This is basically the Cresselia team, but you have G-Fisk as your safe switch. Ironically, this was the most powerful Machamp Umbreon core with G-Fisk. This team ranked incredibly high. It just changes a few things. G-Fisk is just really good in Open Ultra League just because of its ability to pressure very heavily. And like I said, it was statistically the top core overall for Season 8 Part 1. Same stats as the other one, just a B for consistency. Don't ask me why. I'm not sure how, but I'm pretty sure the consistency is just because Cresselia just has essentially better coverage with Moonblast and Grass Knot. But as you see here, this team is incredibly powerful. Very, very strong base. Does that same strategy as the other one, as the Cresselia variation, just uses G-Fisk in here. As you see, this team is very good against a lot of things, except when you see fighters. I'm not sure how this team made it into the top teams, considering my only thing is just it's really weak to fighters. Like, you have a much better, like, option with Galarian Stunfisk. You can choose to sack Machamp if you see if you see a Charmer, you're still gonna have a hard time, but this team just does better against Charmers just because of G-Fisk. However, yeah, look over here. Fighters really love your back row, and that's why I'm kind of like scratching my head at how, but I still think this is a really good top team, because when I simmed with it and I practiced with it actually was doing extremely well. Surprisingly well. So, you could choose to use G-Fisk as your safe switch. I would use Umbreon as your safe switch to force the fighter out, and then have Machamp force Machamp out, Galarian Stunfisk, because if they're running double fighter, you're going to lose anyway, so you might as well draw out the fighter. But other than that, this team is still really good. Like I said, I've tried it out. It does really well. However, if you don't like playing risky and you don't have a Galarian Stunfisk XL, you still have the Cresselia option. So this team is still very, very strong. Alright, for the next team, you have Obstagoon, Articuno, Lapras. So this is an ABB team. You have Obstagoon Double Ice. It's a Gunk Shot Obstagoon, and I think you have Gunk Shot for the sheer reason you are going to Gunk Shot, or this team banks on you Gunk Shotting Charmers in the lead. But as you see here, you have Lapras as your safe switch and Articuno close out. This is kind of the more cheaper team, because with Obstagoon and Lapras, those aren't hard to find, and you've likely already have them built. The only expensive thing is Articuno. Now, the thing about this team, what makes it really interesting, is that if you look at the analysis, this was actually a top team at 563. So, it's out of this entire list, this is the cheapest team. So, the funny thing is, yeah, it only has Articuno. It only has Articuno, and it somehow ranked ridiculously high. And a lot of people were using it at 1.8%. So, this is a really good team. But like I said, it's really interesting because, as you see, it doesn't statistically rank... it doesn't statistically rank super high. D for coverage, great bulk, safety, and consistency. And you really hate Registeel with this team, by the way. So you're hoping to catch Registeel in the lead with Obstagoon with a boost. The reason you don't have Cross Chop is because you don't essentially need it. Night Slash and Cross Chop do very similar damage, and you'd rather have Night Slash over Cross Chop just because you have the potential to boost. But as you see here, as far as meta goes, it does really well. The only issue is basically, like I mentioned before, there's a lot of things that core break this team. Registeel, Regirock, both core break it. Also, Berserker can give you a huge issue. Deoxys defense is a big one, just because its ability to have rock slide, so your back row hates it a lot. So, if Deoxys defense XL, you don't see a lot of them in Open Ultra League, which I don't really foresee it. Just because Deoxys defense doesn't have a high of a rating in Ultra League Remix, or in Open Ultra League as it does in Ultra League Remix. So you'll probably see more of them in Ultra League Remix than in this one. As here, this team has a ridiculously high threat score, so I'm not sure how it made it there. However, this is the most powerful Obstagoon team as far as cheapness goes. Other than that, all the other Obstagoon combination teams didn't have Obstagoon in the lead. This one features Obstagoon lead. So if you like Obstagoon lead, this is an incredibly powerful team, and it does really well statistically. So does have a lot of core breakers in the back, so it is a very high-risk team, but this team still will give you a lot of W's, as it's performed extremely well for Season 8. And last but not least, the team that actually carried me to Legend in Season 7, and for some reason is still incredibly powerful. No, literally, this is the second most powerful team in PvPoke.com, minus the one I showed you before. Somehow the Machamp, Stunfisk, and Umbreon team is number 1, surprisingly. But as you see here, this is the number 2. Triple XL is actually incredibly powerful still, and it's insanely strong. So this team is Triple XL, Talonflame XL, Umbreon XL, and Abomasnow XL. Ironically, this is probably the most accessible team as far as XL goes, just because Talonflame's had a community day, Umbreon's been out for a very long time, and Abomasnow had all that opportunities. It had a Spotlight Arrow. You also had the Christmas events to get Abomasnow XL candy, or Snover XL to be exact. This team is incredibly powerful, great across the board, but the reason why it's so strong is because Talonflame is incredibly dangerous. Brave Bird does so much damage that your opponent 9 times out of 10 is going to be forced to shield. If they don't shield, it's going to do big damage. Then you can switch into either Umbreon or Abomasnow. Umbreon is the safe switch for this team. I've operated on it a lot, so basically you'll burb, try to break shields with Talonflame, and then safe switch into Umbreon. Or what you'll do is Talonflame will just outright win the match, and a revved up Talonflame is an absolute nightmare. You've probably died a lot to Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving came early either for you or me because you've died a lot to it and it's taken your elo, or you've taken their elo, because I love Talonflame XL. This team is incredibly powerful. As you see, great across the board and does really well against a lot of combinations. Talonflame is still the number 1 lead, and all 3 of these mons are just basically super, except for, Abomasnow XL is particularly bulky. It's actually quite bulky, surprisingly. The only thing I will give you a hard time with this team is Melmetal. Melmetal is your worst nightmare. I've been able to beat Melmetal teams, but you have to be a little fancy. In other words, what you're going to have to do is try to force your opponent to bait. You're going to have to you have to be really fancy. I've managed to catch Rock Slides on Umbreon and then close out with Talonflame and Abomasnow in the back by just beating the unholy heck out of Melmetal. Other than that, that's your biggest threat. The rest of you see here, Magazone, Crustal, Tentacruel, you likely won't see those. Registeel, like everything else you basically can beat. But Melmetal will beat you really hard. Just keep that in mind. So, other than Melmetal, this team is incredibly strong. And like I said, it's second most powerful team, but it's the most powerful Triple XL team overall for Open Ultra League. I still think it performs really well in Season 8, and I've used it a lot. And like I said, it's taken me a legend several times, so if you're thinking about using this team, it can give you long-term use over multiple seasons for Open Ultra League. And that's GG's. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I really hope you guys do well in Open Ultra League. As soon as more data comes out, I will post Open Ultra League data and teams that are working more efficiently. Open Ultra League, you are forced to either do Open Ultra League or succumb to Ultra League Remix. In my opinion, it's not a bad idea to go through Ultra League and get some practice in, because for Open Ultra, as you see here, you're going to have to probably go through it at one point or another in your Go Valley career. If it's one of your weakest leagues, definitely this is a good time to get practice now, and there's a lot more looks you can get and a lot more variety for Open Ultra League than Great League Remix. Unless you're one of those crazy trainers with all those XLs for Ultra League Remix, and you have a DD, you have Jellicent, and you have G-Fisk, and you just have a whole bunch of, because you played that much. Kudos to you if you do. If you don't, Open Ultra League is your second option. All these teams will get you a lot of looks. There's a lot of variety and a lot of top teams that statistically do well for Open Ultra League. The Triple XL team I showed you as the last one, I think is the most powerful team in my opinion, just because I've used it to make Legend multiple times. There's so many ways to escape bad scenarios, despite the fact that you are triple weak to Melmetal. So just putting it out there, that team is incredibly strong. I definitely recommend you give it a try if you have all those Pokemon for those combinations. Hopefully you will do well in your Go Battle League sets. Again, Open Ultra League is your only choice. Otherwise, you can skip this cycle entirely. To be a huge favor, I did do a little bit of like simming and like a little bit of work, as I do with all of my videos, just to make sure that these still operate efficiently. If you could do me a huge favor, please like and subscribe. It's totally free. It helps the YouTube algorithm a lot if you like, and subscribing is totally free like I mentioned. You can easily subscribe by that little box to the bottom right that says subscribe. Just put your mouse over it. It'll open up the sub tab and you can easily subscribe from there. For those of you who already subscribed, thank you for all your support. I really do appreciate you guys. And again, liking, subscribing is totally free. Good luck in your Go Battle League sets, and I will see you guys on the next video.